It's Saturday at 10 o'clock. Polly and I have been married for almost 8 years. We live in a bungalow on the edge of town. The living room, bedroom, and garage open out onto the back terrace. The garage has room for our 2 cars and my motorcycle, which I use on weekends. A very cool Aprilia. Our sex life is great and has never faded. So I was stunned when one Monday, out of the blue, she told me she was going on a date. It was to be on a coming Friday night, when we usually relax in front of the TV. The date was to be with a man who worked for her company, but in a different office on the other side of town. It was his birthday. It turned out that they had become friends during his visits to the head office on Wednesdays. Starting with coffee breaks together, they moved on to midweek lunches. And on the previous Wednesday, he stopped by her office after lunch to say goodbye and thank her for lunch. She walked him to the door, where he kissed her unexpectedly. He then invited her to dinner. "And you just let him?" I asked. "Well, he caught me off guard. We've always been honest with each other, Polly. So, tell me the truth. You encouraged him. A little, I suppose, but it was only a kiss. And you kissed him back?" "Well, yes." Polly and I discussed this date every night. She was calm but persistent. "No, it wasn't a birthday party. No one else was invited. Thursday night we had the most intense conversation. I was understandably upset and worried. Aren't you prepared to have sex with him? Why do you think that?" She didn't respond. "You're horny and flushed. You were thrilled by the kiss, and you've told me twice how attractive he is. I acknowledge his good looks. Indeed, I'm thrilled. Since I met you, this is our first date. But I look flushed because I came home early today and made him a birthday cake. It's in the oven right now." "Birthday cake? When was the last time you baked a cake for me? Don't be such a baby. I always treat you to a birthday dinner at your favorite restaurant." He's divorced, single, and wasn't going to celebrate at all. I felt sorry for him. "Do you know why he got divorced?" "No. We never discussed it, but he's a very nice man, and I don't want him to be lonely." "Great. I'll come too." "No. It's a date." "Well, you didn't answer the question. You're planning on having sex with him, aren't you?" "I'm not planning anything like that." That was a good answer. I'd have to rephrase it. But you know perfectly well that it's sex that he's hoping for, don't you? That's why he kissed you. Franco is a man, Paul. Most men think about sex after a woman has agreed to go on a date, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to sleep with him. Now, Franco, huh? The Italian stud? And you won't necessarily have sex, so there's always the possibility that you will. You're making a big deal out of it. Franco Marino works for the same company I do. He's not married, and I agreed to have dinner with him." "You agreed? I thought we were discussing it." "It's just dinner with a co-worker. I've dated female colleagues in the past, but yes, I'm going. I think he's more than just a co-worker. He's a handsome man who's already kissed you, at your suggestion, and you never answered my question, so let me be blunt. Are you going to have sex with him? It's not in my plans, but I can't say it's completely impossible, can I? It depends on the circumstances." "What circumstances?" "He says he'll give you a ride home if you give him a hot gawk in the parking lot. Or maybe you'll turn him down if his ex-wife and 6 little ones show up." "How are you going to get to this date by car?" "I'll take a cab. It's booked for 6:30. "That's what I thought. So you can have a few glasses of wine to get you in the mood. You're talking nonsense. Of course I expect wine with the meal. Why would I take the car?" The oven beeped. "The cake is ready." "Good. Maybe I'll have a slice." "Paul, we both know how petty you can be. Please promise me you won't touch that cake. It's just a light biscuit. You won't even like it." Calling me petty was below the belt, because it was the truth. "Okay, I promise I won't touch the cake." She placed it on a rack to cool. "I'll decorate it with fresh cream tomorrow before I leave." I noticed she had a professional cake box to deliver the cake to the restaurant. "And promise me you won't touch that box either. I know what you're like. I won't touch anything." We walked back to the living room. "Where are you going to have dinner?" "At the Marlborough Hotel." Of course I should have known. He must have booked a room. And these days you'll probably make do with half. He pays for dinner and wine, and you pay for the bed. I hear they have good breakfasts. I'm tired of this bickering already. It's beneath your dignity, Paul. Franco didn't book a room at the Marlborough. We're only going for dinner. If you keep up this ridiculous jealousy, you'll force me to have sex with him. So keep your promise, and I'll keep this one. I promise to be home by 11. I'll be blunt, Polly. I don't like it. Well then, so be it. But since you're so wound up, I'll make you another promise. All right, let's hear it. Let me act in my own way, without further discussion or argument. From today until tomorrow when the cab comes, you must say no more about it. I'll be home at 11, and we'll talk about it on Saturday at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock in the morning? Yes. That will give you time to think about what happened. Time to assess how little damage has been done to our marriage. And whatever you decide on Saturday at 10, tell me, and I'll stick to that decision. So I say nothing from now until the cab, and next morning it's my turn to do things my way. You agree to whatever I say, even if I insist that you never see him again. Then I'll make it easy for you. I'll have dinner tomorrow before I go home. That'll give you time to get ready for a hot date. She wrinkled her nose at the word hot, but replied, "Thank you. But I have two conditions. One, I'll sleep in the guest room tonight and tomorrow, and I don't want to talk to you from now until Saturday at 10. Second, if you have sex with him, our marriage could suffer." Agreed. On Friday, Polly came home before me again. She was just putting the finishing touches on the cake when I arrived. Happy birthday. Franco was written in bold chocolate lettering, but what alerted me was the scattering of pink icing hearts on the sides. Not soccer balls or flowers, not stars or Ferraris, just hearts. Polly said hello, but I stood my ground and didn't respond. She shrugged and I went to the guest room to change. While she was busy, I slipped into our bedroom. In the bathroom, I noticed that an expensive bath oil had been removed from the wall cabinet. Obviously, she was planning on lounging in the tub with my latest birthday present. Her clothes for this date were spread out on the bed. The dress she had chosen was a classic LBD. It came with a pair of black stockings with ties and a tiny black thong that I had never seen before. Also, a new velvet choker with a fake diamond on the front, but no bra. Under the bed were the highest-heeled shoes I'd ever seen. She had already closed the curtains leading to the patio. I checked to make sure the door was locked and took out the key. I was watching TV when Polly came out of the kitchen. "I'm going to go and get ready," she announced. "Listen, Paul, I know you're confused, but it's not necessary. I'm not having sex with him, and tomorrow this will all be a thing of the past." I nodded. As soon as I heard the click with which she closed the bedroom door, I was overcome with the urge to act. I went to the garage where I removed the dust wrap from the Aprilia, then went out to the back patio and took the sheet with me. I couldn't look into the bathroom, but I could hear the taps running. I waited until they quieted down and she climbed into the tub. Then I unlocked the door and slipped inside. Placing a sheet on the floor, I opened Polly's closet. In a couple minutes, there was a big pile of clothes in there. I took everything that hung on the hangers, the little black dress from the bed, and everything from her drawers. On top of the pile was her purse. When I went back and closed the closet again, she was wearing only stockings and a choker, and her choice of shoes. Well, I could hardly let my wife out on the street without shoes. That would be cruel. In her purse, I found her cell phone. In the garage, I stuffed all the stuff in the trunk of the car except for the purse, which I checked. It contained the usual money and cards, and another surprise, a pack of 3 Durex thin-feel condoms hidden in a slot in the lining. We never used condoms. I tucked them in my pocket and locked my bag and the rest of her belongings in the car. Then, using her cell phone, I found the cab contacts and called them. It was already 6, and they confirmed the booking for 6:30. "Sorry for the late notice, but we have to cancel the trip. My wife has caught a cold. At least she'll catch a cold real quick if she goes outside in just shoes. No problem, sir. Thank you for letting us know." Polly was just about to come out of the bathroom, so I rolled the bike out and strapped the cake box to the back seat with bungee ropes. Then I closed the garage door and hit the road. I didn't want to get there too early, so I stopped by a small corner store. There I picked out a gaudy greeting card with pink hearts on it. "I don't suppose you have a pen I could use?" The girl grinned, reached under the counter, and pulled out a gobbledygook. "We get asked all the time, which one is the thickest?" She picked out a Rod gel pen and handed it to me. I wrote, "Stay away from polyamory or this will be your last birthday." I then wrote asshole on the envelope, which made the girl smirk even more. Back on my motorcycle, I parked at the Marlboro and was at the hotel at 10 to 7. I peeked into the dining room. There weren't many people, but a dark-haired man was sitting alone, and there was a bottle of red on the table. There were 2 glasses in front of him. One had wine in it. He was wearing a suit and a bright yellow tie. Who wears a yellow tie on a date? Hotel front desk staff let their guard down when they saw a man in an emergency helmet carrying a box of cake. "Birthday delivery for Mr. Marino," I announce. Okay. I was taking a bit of a risk, but luck had been with me so far, and it wasn't leaving me now. "Mr. and Mrs. Marino are in room 108, but I think I saw him go into the dining room. The yellow tie, that's him." He looked surprised when I sat down across from him. "Special delivery from Polly," I announced. As if that wasn't confusing enough, I took the table napkin out of the ring, unfolded it, and placed it in my lap. Then I leaned forward and opened the box. There lay his cake in all its splendor. But who? I raised my hand over the tabletop again. The napkin concealed both it and what I was holding. "It's the birthday boy with the gun. Say one word, and it will be your last. Nod, if you understand." He nodded, and I tucked my hand back under the table. "Now it's pointed right at you, and I'm going to ask you some questions. I warn you, I've asked Polly the same questions before. She's my wife, by the way. So, one lie, and little Franco will be splattered all over the dining room. Are we both on the same page?" He nodded again. I'd never seen a man turn so white. "How many times have you fucked her?" "Nay, never," he said. "Honestly, we haven't. Never, never," he stammered. "You booked a room, so it was all planned for tonight." I admit, I was hoping for that, but it wasn't definite. "Then here's the important question. Make sure your answer matches her answer. Does Polly know that you have a reservation?" "Yes." I looked around. No one was paying attention to us. "You're Italian. You know exactly how a man feels when his woman steps away from the marital bed. So I offer you a choice. Either my hand will squeeze slightly and don't think I won't. The love of my life has cheated on me, at least mentally. Or if you want, you can stick your head in this cake. Choose now." He quickly lowered his face. Cream oozed around his ears and ruined his beautiful tie. While he was doing that, I removed the napkin and squeezed anyway. Of course, I couldn't see the bag of frosting, but I could hear the contents hit his crotch. Lucky Franco, he got his cream pie after all, and exactly where he wanted it. I crumpled up what was left of it and put it on the table next to his birthday card. His face was still in the cake. Then I stood up. Several people watched as I finished his glass of wine and poured the bottle over his head. No one said a word. At home, Polly was sitting on the living room couch in her bathrobe and slippers. They must have been in the bathroom. Hardly the proper attire for a Marlboro. "What have you done, Paul?" she shrieked. I made a lightning motion across my lips, whispered, "Saturday at 10, and went to bed. Saturday at 10, I woke her up at 6, throwing the sheet and clothes on top of her. "How did you get in?" I locked the door. I showed her another key and replaced it in the patio door. Then I took a quick bike ride and had breakfast in a neighboring town. Sure enough, by 10 o'clock I was home. We sat across from each other at the dining room table. Polly frowned when I put a cake knife between us. It was large and very sharp. She was wearing a simple jogging suit. "You'd look better in a dress, Polly. These clothes are boring. You should diversify it a little with stockings and a choker." She ignored this and asked, "What did you do last night?" besides stealing my clothes. I went to the hotel and let Franco know you weren't coming, but I gave him your cake. He seemed to like it. He couldn't get enough. Here's your purse and your phone. By the way, I deleted your Italian contact. You'll have to wait until Wednesday to get it again. Maybe I will. Last week, I continued, you told me several times that your date was only dinner. You stated categorically that you didn't plan to have sex with him and that he didn't make a reservation. She was silent. You also agreed that anything I say now at 10 o'clock you will agree to. She nodded. I checked with the hotel, and Marino had booked a room, and I had every reason to believe him when he said you knew about everything. Tonight I'll get what I want. You'll be sleeping in the guest room. I'm starting divorce proceedings this week, and I want you cleaned up by the weekend. I don't care where you go. I hear Rome is nice this time of year. Her jaw dropped as quickly as Marino's head did. I'll sell the house and give you half, but there will be no maintenance payments. You'll live alone. But I'll never. Hell no, I shouted, knocking myself on the head. It's been decided here. Paul, please. No. Did you think you could just go and sleep with some fatty and leave me to watch TV? It doesn't matter. Stockings, thongs, no bra, that's what matters. 45 minutes for dinner and you should have had about 8. That gave you over 2 hours before you had to call a cab. I suppose you were hoping he'd show up 3 times before heading home. Let's make some decisions now because we're likely to argue about the furniture. Using a knife, I pinned 3 condoms to the table in front of her. This table is yours to keep.